Oh, there's.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back for another fantastic week of virtual tastings with us here at Becker Vineyards. Tonight, we are kicking off our week with the 2016 D'Estate. This is a fantastic and beautiful wine. And as you know, this is going to be the last Monday that we're going to be going on. We're transitioning into a new setup for our virtual tastings. Tonight, we've got Dr. Richard Becker, Dr. Joe Becker, our winemaker, Jon Leahy, our enologist, Rachel Fanning, all with us. So I'm going to pass this over to them to tell you a bit more about this beautiful blend. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers, Kaylin. Appreciate the intro. Doc, Joe, it's good to see you guys again. It seems like it's been 2 days.
Exactly.
Would you like to intro the Monday evening tasting for us, please?
5 months of being basically sequestered, and a lot of people trying to return to normal activities, school. We should still practice every bit of separation and mask wearing and everything we can do to protect ourselves and our friends. This is not over. As Dr. Fauci said, we're still in the first wave, and so we need to keep that in mind. And it's very human to feel like we're out of risk, but we're not. Anyway, having said that, welcome, and here's 30 minutes of enjoying I think a pretty amazing wine combination that you've made, John. Joe, you see what you said.
Today was my day of the week to participate in distance learning, and one of the things that struck me today is this was sort of one of the first full days of school, and my 6-year-old, my producer, his first grade teacher, went around the room and wanted to know what everybody secretly wished for, and most of the students all wished that that the coronavirus would go away, that they could be with their friends again, that they could be with their families, that they would never have to wear a mask again, and I couldn't have thought it or said it any better. And I know it's been an unbelievably difficult journey, and as Dad always says, you know, we hope that we can provide just a few minutes of distraction, a few minutes of and trying to enjoy something and find meaning in something that we don't get to do very often.
Well, here's the first day of school. They all enjoyed it. and
John, have you been to the principal's office yet?
You know, I spent an inordinately large amount of time at the principal's office when I was in school for some reason.
You're like the assistant principal, I would guess. Yeah.
No, Doc, it was called school suspension. I don't get it. So Rachel, I understand a member of your family went back to school today. How does it feel to kind of breathe a sigh of relief, or are you all nervous? What's going on?
I'm nervous.
No.
Yeah, I'm not super excited. I'm glad that she's getting out of the house. And for those of you who don't know, I have a 15-year-old who is a sophomore in high school, as well as a 20-year-old who is a junior in college this year. And yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking to have them back in school and far away in school. And so I'm hoping for the best. I hope that the facilitators have great plans, and we're doing our best to stay healthy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of healthy, what do you think of this wine? Is it healthy?
It's so very healthy. So very healthy. I mean, that nose, is that not beautiful?
Yeah, it really is. I was, as you know, I'm glad nobody can really see. I am covered in grape guts from here down. The back of my head, you know, that destemmer today was spitting so much juice from the Tempranillo. And the back of my hair feels like somebody moosed it. It was just, I got.
So John, just before we get started, what were you guys harvesting today?
We harvested some of the most lovely dark red Tempranillo from Drew Talent. It was beautiful fruit. Rachel, you give us your thoughts on it.
No, I agree. And he absolutely grows beautiful Tempranillo. I'm super excited about it. So came in, we got right at 24 tons, and sitting at my preliminary bricks on it was about 25 or 24.8. So I'm sure it's going to be right around 25 and a half bricks. Yeah, it's lovely.
That's right on. So you'll be there all night getting the rest of the numbers done and all those inoculations, right? You'll be there till about 4 or 5 this morning. So let's get back to this, the Diastate, which absolutely is one of my favorite things to do are the Four Seasons. So this 2016 blend, which we'll get to in a moment, I want you guys' first impressions. Joe, what was your first impression for this evening when you smelled this?
I think too, I know we've tasted some of our Four Seasons wines before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just to remind people, the original idea behind the Four Seasons was that we had, 4 major Merlot growers in Texas, and each of these 4 wines, the Diastate, the Autumno, they're all reflections of these different styles, different Merlot vineyards, and so that's where the idea behind these originally came from.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So so what do you think of this particular one?
It has a very lovely floral nose, a very strong kind of a sweeter aroma to it.
Has some dust.
And some dust. Yeah.
It does. It does.
Amazing.
Rachel, what do you think of the nose?
No, I agree with what the doctors were saying. That nose, I just want to keep smelling it over and over and over. I mean, it's like little pink rose petals, and then it opens up to something a little bit more.
So what you're saying, pink rose petals, we have 2 EG or 2 EP? Ethyl glycol or ethyl phenol?
Why shoot?
Okay. I actually have not had this wine in probably 2 years.
Same here. Yeah.
So this is my first tasting, and I opened it up. I mean, I was running a little bit late this evening. I got home. Thankfully, there was not a car on the road, and I made record time getting home from the winery. But so,
Officer Bacon's not watching.
What?
I'm sure Officer Bacon's not watching.
Well, Mike Bacon, I love that man, but I was more worried about Jody overhearing how fast I went. So, but I was really worried about this having to be decanted, and I was kicking myself for not doing that earlier. I opened this 15 minutes ago, and the nose just keeps giving. I'm really impressed with how fast this just opens up. And Doctor, there is dust on there. You know, what did Andrei Telechev say about making Cab in Napa? He goes, to make a good Cabernet, you had to have Rutherford dust, I think, to paraphrase.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man.
He didn't even know about West Texas red soil.
Right. Red Texas red soil, I think, beats that hands down. So, Rachel, give us the blend, not the exact percentages, but this all comes from Jet's property.
Correct.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So it originally started out, memory serves me, it started out as a Dolcetto Zinfandel blend.
Right.
And then a little Cab and Merlot to balance it, just add lovely layers to it.
Yep. So we were getting a discussion earlier. The official blend comp does not have any Viognier in there. But I am 98% sure that, because I was looking at the if you will, the winemaker's notes, my spreadsheets online, and 2 weeks after we picked this blend and blind tasting, there's a note on there, try with 1% Viognier, we all liked it. So that's the only thing. And if it didn't get into the official blend comp, I'm not sure why not. But that's why I thought there was Viognier in here.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you why. I've got
Because
this winemaker who likes to do things.
Just told the guys put this much Viognier in there and didn't write a work order. Yeah, right. But we've got Dolcetto, Merlot, Cab, and Zin, all from Jet Wilma's property. This was the 2016 Dolcetto, by the way, Dr. Becker, that we were not that enamored with 12 months into the aging process. So let's revisit that. What do you think now?
I love it. It's and when I taste a wine like this, I'm always trying to think of another wine that I've tasted that it reminds me of. And again, it's another pretty unique blend. And I, the Zinfandel is there, the Dolcetto is there, the Merlot is there, but it doesn't, it's not becoming it doesn't remind me of a wine I've tasted from anywhere else.
So Rachel, what are the exact percentages on that blend?
According to my notes, it's 38% Zin, 33% Dolcetto, 15% Merlot, and 14% Cabernet. And again, all off of Jet Women's Diamante Doble Vineyards.
Exactly. And Jet just joined us. So Jet, we're loving this wine. So anytime you want to send us some really ripe fruit, we'll take it. We're getting ready to harvest. I guess he's got a hell of a harvest in front of him, I think on Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll be getting
And again, Jet, if you have any interest in Chardonnay, we're all our palates are open.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, start asking your questions because we're going to go around this blend. And this is just a nice drinking red wine.
Sure is. And this would definitely be 100% American oak.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so John, you made this by just tasting around from the barrels and looking at what was emerging, and not thinking of any. You're not mirroring some other blend that you've come across in the past.
No. Honestly, not. Part of this blend came out of an exuberance of frustration over the early tastings of the Dolcetto, because I was pretty convinced that Dolcetto was, even though it wasn't as ripe as the 2015, and we used the 2015 as the benchmark on the Dolcetto because 2015 was such a beautiful year on that, and that was our first year of getting the fruit. And there's no arguing that 2015 was great. The 2016 did come in less sugared and phenolically slightly underdeveloped. And this is not an admonishment on anything. This is just what that year gave us. I really, really thought that it needed a couple of years of aging, and it turns out it did. Now, we were not happy with it as a standalone Dolcetto. We decided not to do that. And then we revisited the Dolcetto about 6-8 months after deciding not to use a standalone vintage of it in this blend. And it seemed to work very well. The characteristic cherry of that Dolcetto really started coming out, but the vegetative edge, the green edge of the Dolcetto was muted by the other blends, and it didn't work as a smaller amount. It only worked in larger quantity. Hence the 32+% on almost 33% on that Dolcetto. It didn't work at 15% in that blend. It worked at a much higher rate. And this is the moment of counterintuitiveness that you run up against in winemaking in the blending portion. You think, well, if a little bit doesn't taste good, a lot's going to taste like hell. Sometimes it's the exact opposite.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, John has discovered Texas Merlot, and the Merlots that you've made, John, I think are just by any measure extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And so we decided that the Quattro Stagioni, the 4 seasons, we'd make 4 different expressions of Merlot.
Yeah, that was with we did. So we revitalized those labels.
Some are more Merlot than others, but this fits into that profile. The interesting thing about this label is that the 4 seasons in Italian include Primavera and Autunno and Inverno, but summer is Estate, Estate, which is looked at by the federal inspectors as estate, and so unless it's statewide, you can't put Estate on it. So we made Estate from summer, and I think it's
yes.
And I love this wonderful summer scene of the hammock and the Austin in the background that this watercolor that Tony painted. It's fun to see this. And only 13.8% alcohol, mm-hmm. which is a nice thing. Nice expression.
I think, and Rachel and I were talking about this earlier, about sugars, ripeness, alcohols. By earlier, I mean a few days ago. And I think we're very, very lucky as hot as it gets here in the summer, and I don't think anybody will argue that Texas gets hot in the summer, as warm as it is, as all of the environmental factors that we have to deal with, and yet we're able to get grapes in fully phenolically ripe at lower sugars in this heat to make these lower alcohol wines sometimes. It works out well. You know, Ed, I'm not going against Rachel. Don't hold my feet to the fire. I'm not going against my idea that a well-balanced wine, the alcohol doesn't matter. I still believe that, but I just find it very interesting that we're able to get some of these phenolically ripe grapes in with lower sugars, and I've really enjoyed that. I don't have to pick those grapes underripe to keep the alcohol down, you know, and I think that's a rather tragic mistake that I think some of my fellow winemakers have made by saying, no, we have to pick at 22 or 23 no matter what, because they don't want to pay the higher tax on that.
Let me ask Dad something. Dad, you and I talked about this a few days ago, but that you poured that Merlot for me when I was in fellowship, and it was just very dark and rich. And do you remember maybe you don't remember the label, but this is kind of along those lines, just a very dark, round Merlot expression.
I think the pieces that were fit together very, very nicely in this wine, John and Rachel. Nice job.
Let me ask you, Joe, Doc, and Rachel, you know, we just got a question. How long, they have another bottle of this. How long, if properly stored, would you think this wine will last? What are your guys'
I think a long time. I think it would be fascinating in 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
I think it'd be amazing. Yeah.
Rachel?
Absolutely. I think this will age well over 10 years. I think it's got great potential.
I'm pretty sure it's only going to age as long as the corkscrew stays out of the top of that bottle. So.
Could be.
Yeah, there is that. So what do you think of this overall blend? Non-traditional blend? No, it wasn't there. You know, somebody else just asked, is this an annual blend? The label is an annual label, but not the blend itself. We don't stick to must-have Zin, Cab, Merlot, Dolcetto.
But I mean, they're generally Merlot-driven wines with
the first La Quattro Stagioni series that we did, when I found those labels, and we did the 2012s, those were all Merlot driven. That was just the way to introduce it as from our 2012 had such great Merlot that we wanted to really focus on those 4 vineyards and the Merlots and what you could do with a Merlot-based blend. 2015 was not so much Merlot-based, and 2016 has Merlot in a couple of them, but not all of them. So the Merlot, the 4 Merlots were really more or less the 2012 labels. Now, we have used Merlot in quite a few of these since then, but not as a driving factor. We didn't want to keep it pure Merlot expression. This one just happens to work out well. It's a Bordeaux with a little bit of Dolcetto in there, which is wonderful. What do you guys think on food pairings? Because I'm starving. And I'm thinking about 5 different things, and probably none of them will go here. But Rachel, what do you think with food pairing?
I think that this, I can actually say I know, because I do actually drink this on a fair occasion, and that it pairs wonderfully with any rustic Italian tomato-based dish.
Okay. Joe?
I was just trying to think that a great Riboletta, I think would pair very well with this. You know, the beautiful Italian, a lot of different ways to make it, but I think if you had the spices just right, it would be a great pairing.
Doc?
Roast turkey dressing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody online just said we're having good old-fashioned meatloaf with it.
Bingo.
With a little bit of Italian seasoning, that could be really good.
Yeah.
Only if it's wrapped in bacon. I'm gonna go deep dish pizza on this, because, you know, since last week when we mentioned the Chicago deep dish pizza, I'm like, God, that sounds really good. I'm gonna go with a really good deep dish pizza on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be deep dish. I think a good pizza overall would be. So here's something, you know, because people are asked, you know, we've made quips about a cookbook, and I was thinking, we're going to have to go back through all of these broadcasts, get the foods that we have picked with the wines, and we're going to have to make a cookbook week by week. Here are the wines, here are the recipes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great idea.
Doc, that means that we're going to need your mom's cherry turnover recipe.
You know what? Hey, Rachel, I bet we could find out where Carolyn and Joe live, and we'll go raid their house.
That was just ask.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, somebody said we just had some with tamales. This wine works well with tamales. I believe it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's making me hungry now. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Well, it's a fun wine. I think it's just an absolutely fantastic wine just to have. And now that we're in harvest, my mind is starting to drive more towards red wine because I'm thinking fall reds and what's coming up with releases. That's somebody. Several comments flipped by here. Rachel just described the cover of the book. I have no idea what that means, but
Somebody has to read that. I don't know what I said.
right. I think there's about the turnover.
I think one of our long-term goals. We have an amazing chef that we've talked about before on these podcasts named Michael Lockhart and sort of his sous chef Sean. We would love to be able to create, just for a few people at a time, just elegant French meals. In fact, he made a wonderful Dover sole this weekend, and the cheese souffle and the Grand Marnier souffle.
And John, with the cheese souffle, this wine would have been spectacular.
Yeah, but I think it would have been. Absolutely. But we can't let Michael know he's doing too good of a job. So we need to say something really bad about, like, oh man, I tried harder with that souffle. It was so deflated when we came to the table.
I can't remember.
But no, I think that wine would have been excellent. But that dessert souffle, how about that Grand Marnier souffle he made?
Oh,
That's amazing.
Yeah, that thing was awesome. Somebody just asked, based on history, what will the 2020 D'Estate be? Beats the hell out of me. That's 2 years away.
Grappa. We need grappa for this year.
No. Well, after we get done pressing the skins, then we'll take them all together. We'll add a bunch of sugar. We'll let them re-ferment, and we'll distill that. And then we'll have grappa. And I'm pretty sure grappa is Italian for what the hell is this? Rachel, any comments about furtherance about this vintage actually, or anything about this blend particularly?
I just want to keep smelling this. It just has such a fun, it just keeps opening and evolving to something else.
I agree. Absolutely, Rachel. Yeah.
Somebody's saying, Doc, please start up the chef's luncheons in the Lavender Barn again.
If the virus will let us, we will. I promise you. We miss it.
We do.
Yeah. And I think Michael has, he has been pursuing his craft in a rather single-minded fashion to try to elevate. I know he feels very challenged to do things so perfectly. And it's kind of fun to watch the process. It's a lot of fun to tease the hell out of him and watch him, like, just his head turn around and scream. And I'm like, really? Like, are you sure? That smells burnt to me.
John, I've seen him give you the "get the hell out of my kitchen" look before.
I'm sorry, Joe, you were breaking up.
I said he's given you the "get the hell out of my kitchen" look before.
Oh yeah, he has. That's what that look is. Well, Jet, you did a marvelous job in 2016 with this. So we're going to hold your feet to the fire for the next 10 years on that beautiful fruit. So if there are no other issues with that, so what are we doing on Wednesday, Rachel? What wine are we pouring on Wednesday?
I do believe it is the 2018 springtime, which is typically goes to HEB. It's a wine that we make for HEB. Wish I could tell you what that blend is, but right now I cannot. I will on Wednesday.
Yeah, we will on Wednesday as soon as you get back upstairs and look it up. No, actually, the 2018 is wonderful. That was a year that we used a lot of Texas White, our little secret stash of wines, little blends from hither and yon. So that I'm looking forward to that. I've not actually had the springtime since it first went out. So it's been a while. Texas does white wine so very well. There's so many good white grapes grown in this state. God, it's just absolutely fantastic. Okay, Doc, Joe, any final comments?
Just that we will be here for everybody with a glass of wine, and we're thinking about everybody on the front lines. We're thinking about our teachers. We're doctors, healthcare providers. We hope that this gives you some relief from these hard days.
I think we should all keep Abraham Lincoln looking over our shoulders, and let's get our whole world back together in every way that we can.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody just wrote a final comment that was kind of funny, and I want to share it. It said, "Why are you harassing a man with sharp knives who knows how to use them?" Don't kid yourself. I don't think he knows how to use them. Because I'm safe. He doesn't know where I live. No. Michael, if you guys have not had a chance, and when we do start the chef's tables up again, if you've not had a chance to do it before, I would encourage you to do so. Michael is a wonderful guy to lead you through that. He and Sean in the kitchen do an amazing job, and I love to tease the both of them because they give as good as they get. So don't worry about it.
That's right.
Rachel, thanks for joining us again, and thanks for all of your hard work to date. I also want to thank my guys in the back. They've worked really hard today. We put them through the ringers. We pressed out 3 tanks. We crushed quite a bit of fruit. They were very, very busy on a very warm day. And during harvest, I always like to remember that, when I sit here and I get to joke and talk about the wines as if it just was a very smooth process. It's all the guys in the back that we work with at the winery that make it a smooth process. So when you guys are opening a bottle of wine, please always remember it's 33 to 38 people it takes to bring you a glass of wine. And just to keep that in the back of your mind, that we all love doing it and we appreciate that you love our hard work. So cheers to everyone. Great week. We look forward to seeing everybody on Wednesday.
And we feel lucky to be doing it as well.
Yes,
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John. Thanks. Ciao.
Oh, she's keeping us on Facebook Live.